Welcome to this wonderful occasion, the groundbreaking ceremony for the Rubenstein Commons building. So it's great to see so many people here of the Institute community, many trustees, faculty, members, staff, friends, neighbors. But of course there are a few guests of honor that I want to welcome. Of course, first of all, you, David. This is one appointment that you can't blame others that you will have to attend. So I will say a few more. So it's wonderful to have David here, co-founder and co-executive chairman of the Carlyle Group and one of our trustees. Also great to have Stephen here, Stephen Hall, the architect, and your team, Noah, Christina, others. Terrific also that, and we'll hear from Stephen in a moment. Liz Lampert, the mayor. Wonderful to have you too, and have the opportunity for you also to speak at this wonderful occasion. We are celebrating this gift, and the date actually was picked in advance because when we thought what would be an appropriate day to do the groundbreaking ceremony. And I must say, I often speak about groundbreaking research, but now today it has got a very physical meaning in a moment. We said, well, let's pick Pi Day, Einstein's birthday, because Einstein is so important part of our legacy. And indeed, it's a happy day. It's also a bit of a sad day because today we also mourn the passing of Stephen Hawking, who has, in some sense, in his biography, an apt choice of dates. You know, he was born exactly 300 years after the death of Galileo, and he decided to leave this world, this universe, on the day that Einstein was born. So. But I think both Einstein and Stephen Hawking remind us, in some sense, how the impact of science transcends and keeps on living and giving. I'm not exactly sure if children write postcards to Santa Claus, North Pole, where they arrive. But if they send a postcard to Einstein, they actually come on my desk. And I have a small but very precious correspondence from children to Einstein. The one famous one was, a lovely one, was 3 Italian school children who asked whether he liked pizza, among other things. A few months ago, I got a very nice letter also from an Italian boy who said, I love Einstein and I write his name on everything on my school books, but I write Albert Einstein with 2 B's. And my friends make fun of this, but I'm sure it was Albert with 2 B's, and he changed his name when he moved to Princeton. And I was researching, and then I found your name, Robert with 2 B's. So but my most favorite one is this little postcard with the actually Lady Liberty on it. It's sent by Cho Wai. He writes, to Albert Einstein, I hope you will never stop being curious. And I think if you made it to that point that children write to you like you are Santa Claus, I think that is quite something. And it's quite remarkable that science and scholarship has that ability to capture the minds of everyone. It's really bringing the world together. And I think actually this is in some sense also the theme today. Because I think with David's gift, and I would say Stephen's great gift of the design of the building, and we'll hear more about it, we honor the Institute's unparalleled role as a national international center for curiosity-driven, groundbreaking basic research. And I think this building will probably add, I would say, another dimension to our wonderful campus. I must say one of the great pleasures of being on the campus, not only that's kind of a temple devoted to scholarship and science, but also during the many decades, some wonderful pieces of architecture were being built that I would say are still very lovingly taken care of, this space will actually add another dimension because it will create a space for enhanced communication and collaboration among and with various social and meeting spaces among the Institute community. And one thing we have seen is that the collaborative element of research, the social element, is incredibly important to us. In some sense, I would say it's the magic sauce that makes the Institute such a wonderful place. Offices and libraries are one thing, but also just to have your colleagues around here and having opportunities to talk, both formally and informally, I think that actually adds a lot of meaning to this institution. So one thing which I also like is that the key members of the process are here, but also I think it was a collaborative effort where also the Institute community, faculty, member, staff, helped think and shape the design. And in many ways, I think the wonderful thing of physical spaces is not only they can be an expression of the more, I would say, kind of symbolic thoughts that we have, but they can also lead thinking and perhaps change or enhance what I feel are crucial elements of the Institute life. So I feel in some sense today we are welcoming a new family member to the Institute campus, a new building which will have its own characteristics. It's a stunning design, I think, by Stephen and his team, that in many ways complements the existing architecture, and it speaks in harmony with the surrounding landscape and the physical environment. I mean, it's one thing we always get back as feedback from our visiting scholars, how wonderful it is that the Institute, the campus, the nature, the buildings. And once I was very touched by a mathematician who said, you know, by the way, if you typically go to a university campus, you see where the mathematician's house, it usually is some anonymous tower. It's not the most lovely building. And she actually said to me, well, you know, it's wonderful that the Institute is there. You take so much pride in what we do. And I'd love to visit. But even if I'm not visiting, just to know you're out there helps me feel good about what I'm doing. So I hope that actually this new addition to our campus that will rise soon will have that same impact on the experience people have here on campus, and that in some sense they take it with them and perhaps be inspired to create similar wonderful buildings in their own institutions. So the program is very simple today. We'll have in sequence Mayor Liz Lampert, architect Stephen Hall, and then founder David Rubenstein talking about the building, say a few words. Then we move outside. We carefully rearrange the weather. Took a lot of time to make sure that the snowstorms were on alternative dates. And then we'll have a small reception in the Food Hall. So it's a great pleasure now to introduce the next three speakers, to begin with Mayor Liz Lampert. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Thank you, Robert, for the warm welcome and introduction. I'm honored to be with you all here today to mark this very special occasion on the Institute campus. And I'd like to congratulate Robert and the Institute's Board of Trustees on today's groundbreaking and applaud the generosity of David Rubenstein in making this vision for the Rubenstein Commons a reality. Today is an exciting day, not just for the Institute, but also for the wider Princeton community. The new Rubenstein Commons will be a world-class facility that will not only cultivate social and academic interactions among faculty and visitors to the Institute, but will also help attract the next generation of scholars and their families who will make Princeton their home. The municipality of Princeton strongly values the partnership we've built with the Institute, and Princeton is proud to have the Institute and its scholars as engaged and active members of our community. So I want to congratulate the Institute once again on this exciting new chapter. And now please join me in welcoming Stephen Hall, architect of the Rubenstein Commons, who will discuss his vision and inspiration for the design.
Well, what a wonderful day. I'm so happy that the weather is great, and it's such a fantastic occasion. And like Robert, I was saddened to see that Stephen Hawking had passed, but he was 76, exactly the same age as Albert Einstein, which is another coincidence, strange coincidence. Groundbreaking is the most joyful moment in the life of an architect because, you know, probably only 1 in 20 things get built that we draw. So the groundbreaking is the most exciting thing. It's also kind of, I think it's the sacred cut in the earth. When you put the shovel in the ground, I like the fact that it has a historic depth. And I just want to thank deeply Robert de Graaf and David Rubenstein. This building, of course, is a collaboration. My project architect, Noah Yaffe, and Christina Yesios are here. Where are they? Somewhere here. And I just want to go, I have 5 minutes, but I want to say one thing. I've never had an invite card capture the concepts so clearly. This idea of space curves and prismatic light, and the idea of intertwining with the landscape and the water gardens, it's all in the graphics. So I said, Christina, who did those graphics? They're brilliant. The concepts of this building from the competition, all 5 of them are still very much intact. The intertwining, the idea of science, the humanities, and nature, somehow intertwining in a physical, small building. The idea of a social condenser, the place where people come together at the cafe, at the bar, at the living room. We have a fireplace. Places that invite interaction and try to provoke discussion. Porosity in the campus space, connecting to this great campus. Very delicate. I spent a day down here when we were working on the competition, walking all around thinking how sensitive this project has to be. But then, I also, when I was walking around, I said, you know, all the recent buildings have these flat roofs, kind of flat spaces. So I had this idea of billowing space and prismatic light. And Robert, when we presented the competition, he said, oh, that's the space for our thought bubbles to rise. And of course, we have the ecological connections and the idea that the building operates in time through the seasons. So the change of the landscape, the change of the vegetation will be something that celebrates these things happening in time. And I have 3 quotes from Einstein that I think are appropriate for today. A table, a chair, a bowl of fruit, and a violin. What else does a man need to be happy? It's fantastic. And I thought, the love of music, we have to remember. We had a piano. I don't remember where the piano is now, but maybe we should have violins laying around in some conference rooms. Definitely a bowl of fruit. And and then another one. Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better. And that was one of the central ideas of our project, is that we somehow would intertwine this building with the gardens and the water gardens and the trees. And the last one I love, strive not to be a success, but rather of value. I should send that to all my students in the School of Architecture. And I just want to close with this. Our projects, and I've been doing this for 40 years, I started very young, our projects take an average of 8 years from the first sketch to the opening of the building. Average, some of them take longer. This project started and will be opening in 2019, which means it's half as long, 4 years. And I think that is because of the great people who worked on it, but a great client, great supporters. We had great meetings, we discussed things, we got to the point, and I'm very excited that this building will be opening in 2019. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming today and the beautiful weather. I appreciate everybody's taking the time. I want to acknowledge, Robert, the terrific job you've done for the Institute. The Institute's had some great leaders, but you have been spectacular in what you've done in really taking the Institute to a new level. So thank you very much for what you've done for the Institute. I'd like to acknowledge the terrific work that Stephen Hall has done. Stephen Hall is somebody that I've worked with before. I'm the chairman of the Kennedy Center, which is the Performing Arts Center in Washington, D.C. Some of you may see the Kennedy Center honors from time to time on television. That's not the only thing we do. But we wanted to refresh the Kennedy Center a bit as we get ready for its 50th anniversary in 2021. And we had an architectural competition. And I must say, Stephen's design blew away the rest of the competition. We had the most famous architects in the United States and really in the world, because everybody wanted to be part of it. And Stephen's design was so spectacular and so groundbreaking, and the way it will transform the Kennedy Center, that he won overwhelmingly. That is now under construction and will open in 2019, maybe around the same time as this. And Stephen's is one of the country's leading, and maybe the world's leading architects. he has so many different kinds of things he's done that's transformed architecture, in part because he's an artist. He brings an artist sensibility to this. And when I also saw the work he'd done in Princeton at the Lewis Center that is open at Princeton University, that Shirley Tillman, one of our trustees here, and also the distinguished former president of Princeton University, she was involved in selecting him, and that is a spectacular addition as well to Princeton. So we're very pleased that Stephen was selected. I generally have a view that if you're a donor, you should not pick the architect, because donors are not necessarily the best pickers of architects. So I generally try to not pick an architect when I'm involved in some kind of donation. So I wasn't on the committee. I did suggest that they consider Stephen Hull, and his design just blew away the competition as well here. So Stephen, thank you for what you've thought for it. And actually, it's a design which I thought probably couldn't be done on budget, but I was wrong. It's being done on budget and on time. And so Stephen, thank you very much for your artistic sensibility. And I think this will transform the campus a bit and really help a great deal. I just wanted to say that some of you may know a small college in New England named Dartmouth, and at one point it was privately chartered, actually by the King of England at the time, and at one point the legislature of New Hampshire said, well, we want to take over this university, the college then, and we want to put our own trustees in to control it. And this case went to the United States Supreme Court, and a Dartmouth graduate, Daniel Webster, argued in front of the Supreme Court. He said, well, we should not let the state legislature take over the trustees and take this college away from the private sector. And he said famously, it's a small college, but there are those of us who love it. And actually, the Institute is a small institute, but there are those of us who love it. And we love it because what it stands for is the apogee of human creativity and brain use. Think about this. The Earth itself is 5 billion years old. Life is 3.5 billion years, more or less. Humans are more or less maybe 1 to 2 million years old. Homo sapiens, which is what we all are 200 to 300,000 years old. When Homo sapiens, our ancestors, first appeared on the Earth, it wasn't probably clear to all the other animals that we would actually dominate the Earth. Probably didn't think we had the physical ability or whatever. So how did we come to dominate the Earth? How did now the 7.5 billion people on the face of the Earth dominate all the other animals and really dominate the Earth and change the Earth? Well, it's because of the human brain. That's what we have. It's not because we're stronger than the animals, not because we're sturdier. It's because we have this incredible human brain. And this human brain is this thing that we cannot explain how it came about. God gave it to us, I guess, or some other means came about to create this incredible organ which has transformed humanity. When we were in caves 200,000 years ago, the average life expectancy was 20. Now, because of the use of this brain, we figured out how to live 4 times as long on average in a developed country, and maybe we'll live longer. And we've done so many things in the arts and music and in physics and in mathematics and in so many other ways. We have transformed what human existence is over the last 200,000 years because of this brain. The Institute really is the apogee of the use of this brain. The smartest people in the world work at the Institute. They have the opportunity to create great things here, and hopefully society will benefit from it, just as Einstein did so many things with his brain that benefited society. Now, Albert Einstein was the person who helped make this the Institute originally, because he agreed to come here as the first great scholar. And ever since then, others want to come here and really be in his path, follow what he did. And Albert Einstein really is a symbol for so many people, and a symbol for the Institute of what the human brain can accomplish by using your brain power by thinking alone. Now, you might say, well, if the Institute is in such good shape and the brain power is so wonderful, why do we need a new building to help people get together? It's done pretty well without it. Yes, there's no doubt about that. And probably if we didn't have this building, the Institute would still do well. But everything can be improved, and I think the Institute will benefit by having a commons building where the great scholars who are working here can come together and talk. Even Einstein, in his own great year of 1905, when he came up with such great theories as the theory of relativity, among other things, he had to talk to other people. He got other ideas from other people, and maybe if he had a commons, he would have come up with even better theories of relativity. Who knows? But by having the ability to come together, I think the great human brain that we have can be improved, because I think all brains and all humans benefit from talking to others. And what the Commons is designed to do is to bring people together who are the great brains of our society, have them interact, and also people who visit can meet with the scholars. So that's what it's really designed to do. To one other point about it. The system that we have in our country, capitalism, more or less lets people who get lucky in life, like me, take their money and give it away. I am one of the 40 people who signed the Giving Pledge originally, and I'm in the process of giving away not half my money, but all of my money. And the reason is I came from very modest circumstances. My parents were not college graduates or high school graduates. And so I got very lucky in the business life that I have, and so I want to give back to our country and give back to the things that I think have helped make our country great. And so I debate when I do this, should I put my name on something like this? And it's obviously an ego gratifying kind of thing to have your name on something like this, and I've debated whether it's a good thing to do that, because maybe the name should be Einstein or Hawking's or other people who have contributed more than just contributing money. I've decided to do this here and other places, really, in part for two reasons. One, I want to remind people that you can come from very modest circumstances and you can achieve things, and I'm trying to motivate other people to do the same thing, to say if you came from modest circumstances and you got lucky in life, give back to society and remind people that you can do that, and by putting your name on something like that, you in effect can do it. And secondly, I'm trying to atone for my sins in mathematics and physics. When I was in high school and college, I was not a great mathematics or physics person. Now, the Institute does more than mathematics or physics, of course, but that's what it's often so well known for. And I've thought if I could have my name on something associated with a great institute that does well in mathematics and physics, maybe my physics and mathematics teachers who are looking down from above would say, well, maybe you were a better mathematics and physics student than we realized. So for one of those two reasons, I've decided to do this, and I'm very honored to be given the opportunity to do it. The Institute is something that is a real national treasure, because we really bring together the greatest minds in the world to hopefully solve some of the greatest problems in the world. And so all of you who are associated with the Institute should be proud of doing so, because you are contributing in however you're giving your time, your energy, your ideas, you're contributing to helping to make the human brain work better and to make society better. So thank you all very much.
David, thank you very much. You have given us a great gift. It at some point will be a physical building. Now it's an entirely theoretical concept, which we are much more comfortable with. As a little, kind of gift in return, we have a drawing of the building for you. So I want to give that to you.
Right.
And I want to thank all the speakers here, and just to remind you, it's wonderful, Stephen just said, we will actually open the building in 2019, which actually is the centenary of the famous solar eclipse that proved Einstein's theory. So again, it's written in the cosmos that it should be kind of finished by that date. And I'm not sure, I should probably tell this the construction crew, but. But again, thank you again very much.
Thank you, Robert.